I look at the young people involved in our party today, and I wonder if they know that the adventure is just beginning. I was 16 when I got involved with the Progressive Conservative Party of Alberta. I remember thinking about my grandpa and his values. He believed in working with people to help build the community and to build a better future for Alberta. So I joined the PC party. It's been a wonderful experience. I can't imagine what my life would have been like if I hadn't walked into that meeting. I'm a proud Albertan. My experience from working with the Right Honourable Joe Clark to being appointed as an International Election Commissioner for Afghanistan's first parliamentary elections has taken me around the world. But Alberta is my home. There is a spirit here that you don't find anywhere else.
Alberta is opportunity, not only because of our economy, but because of how Albertans make that true.
I've met many great people who've worked hard to build our party and build our province. And we can point at any of our leaders and say that they made Alberta a better place. Now it's our turn to build a better Alberta for future generations. We believe that it's important to continue to challenge our thinking and to continue to think about how to do things better. We know our export sector is key to building a strong economy and expanding opportunities for Albertans. We're a resource-producing province. We're always looking to other markets. We're always looking to other opportunities. As we keep an eye on the international scene, we must also be listening to Albertans and building relationships here that will support us around the world.
The world is changing with blazing speed, but it's not just outside our borders, it's inside our borders too.
As Progressive Conservatives, we're fiscally responsible and determined to live within our means. But we can also see the long-term picture. It's predicted that more than 5 million people will move here in the next 20 years, and we want to be ready with the necessary infrastructure. After all, we understand why they'd want to move here. Alberta is the best place to live.
We in Alberta have the freedom to innovate, the freedom to research, and the freedom to make discoveries that will continue to contribute to our future prosperity.
What excites me about being leader of the Progressive Conservative Party and Premier of Alberta is I get to work with people who are passionate about this party because they're passionate about building a better Alberta. I have a vision for this province, one that I believe we can accomplish together. We can face our challenges and find new solutions because in the end, we have the best natural resource, our people.
I get a good feeling. I get a feeling that I never had before. No, I get a good feeling. Yeah. Oh, sometimes I get a good feeling. I get a feeling that I never had before. No, I get a good feeling.
Thank you so much, everyone. Good evening. It's a pleasure to be here with you tonight. I must tell you that it's been fantastic for me to think that it's been a year since we were last together at a leaders' dinner. And it's a tremendous honor for me to be able to stand here tonight before this party. Please sit down. Why don't you sit down too?
Everything stopped.
Yes. All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you to caucus. Thank you. I do want to thank you all for being here tonight. And I want to thank this tremendous caucus that we have that were elected just over a year ago to elect, to think about the future of this province, to represent constituencies around this province, and to ensure that we were keeping our commitment to build Alberta. And I truly want to thank Crystal for organizing a sensational leaders' dinner, a sold-out dinner, a dinner that truly does speak to who we are as progressive conservatives and as Albertans. So Crystal, thank you so much for your work, for the committee's work. It was tremendous. Thank you. And let me also thank you all for giving up what truly is the first day of spring in order to be in this room tonight listening to a political speech. Because there's no doubt that as we look out at this tremendous province and this beautiful city today, and we think about our future over the next 3 or 4 years, the summer we're going to be able to spend with family, thinking about and building and growing our province is really something that's exciting. Because it's days like this that really do remind me just how spectacular this city and this province is. Edmonton is vibrant. Edmonton is an industrial powerhouse that is at the very heart of our economy. It is a cultural capital in its own right. Just last week, I had the privilege of being with Heather Klimchuk to open the Royal Alberta Museum's newest exhibit, Chop Suey on the Prairies. It was a fantastic show, not only because of the tremendous diversity that it spoke to in this province and in this city, but also because it was the first time that the Royal Alberta Museum has done an exhibit completely from scratch using technology that was built entirely by people who were working at the museum. So there was no part of the exhibit that was borrowed from another jurisdiction or part of a touring exhibit. It's an absolutely original exhibit that does what we do best in Alberta. It celebrates our traditions, our past, and it celebrates our talents and our future. To me, it was a testament to the rich cultural values of this city. The other thing I was thinking about today, of course, is there was a pretty important flight out of here this morning at about 7:30 in the morning. The first direct flight into New York City, which I think makes a tremendous difference to the way that we're going to be able to see the future of this province, and particularly the city of Edmonton grow. That sort of direct relationship is powerful. And that initiative comes from what I think is the true spirit of optimism that we see in Edmonton. Now you'll know, as I stand up here with all of my caucus colleagues, that it's been a pretty busy week. I didn't think on Friday morning, when the House rose, that we were going to be having to end an illegal strike this week. So that was sort of interesting. We worked well as a team in unpredictable circumstances, which is something that we're getting very good at in Alberta these days. I was looking at the video as I came in and I saw Richard Starkey standing up here, and I said to Richard, "You know, Richard, you looked a lot younger a year ago." And he said to me, "Yeah, so did you." But I'll tell you that I am so proud of the work that we do as a caucus, the work that we do across this province and our constituencies on behalf of not only the people that elected us in our constituencies, but on behalf of all of the people of Alberta. This week alone, I think of the work the caucus was involved in from Grand Prairie to Fort McMurray, from Redwater to Neerlandia. We are supporting families and we are supporting communities, because that is what leads to our future success. So I would like to just take a moment to ask all of my caucus colleagues and their families to stand so that we can thank them for their unwavering support that makes possible the work that we do in order to keep building Alberta. So please, will you stand? I know you don't want to, but do. And I do truly want to thank all of the hardworking volunteers that are here tonight who helped to organize this dinner, and the people who are here who are volunteers for our party on an ongoing basis. And I'd also like to thank and just take a moment to welcome our president. Jim, can you stand, please? Just to thank you very much for the hard work that you've undertaken since our last convention. And I also want to thank everyone who's here tonight. So many people that are here are people that I have the privilege of meeting throughout this city and throughout this province in all of the work that you do. Whether you are leaders in business, whether you're leaders in industry and communities and social services and education, you are giving of your time and you are involved in public service in a way that allows us all to be proud of who we are as Albertans. As volunteers in our party, you ensure that we continue to be the party of renewal, of common sense solutions, and the one that is focused squarely on building Alberta for the future. And tonight, I want to talk about our track record, because we've accomplished a lot already in just one short year. On April 23, 2012, Albertans rejected the politics of division, whether left or extreme right. And having proven the pundits, the pollsters, and the political scientists spectacularly wrong, we've had a very busy year. And I'm proud that Albertans once again placed their faith in this party and in our values, because they are Alberta's values. Progressive Conservatives know that hard work, resolute perseverance, and a can-do spirit never allows us to stop thinking and dreaming and planning for the future. We'll never cede ground to people who think that we've done enough, that we have to make sure that we're thinking about what we can continue to do together to ensure greater success in the future, and to represent those mainstream conservative values that define who we are. And these are values that have been underpinned by years of progressive conservative leadership that built the modern Alberta that we know today. The best place in Canada to live, the best place in Canada to work, and the best place in Canada to raise a family, bar none. Each successive progressive conservative government was distinct, because each one put forward the right vision for Alberta at the right time. And I've thought about this quite a bit, as I'm sure we all have in the last few months, as we've paid tribute to some of the giants who built our province and built our party. Premier Lougheed came to power in a province that was just beginning to realize what it was capable of. From investing in the oil sands to creating the Heritage Trust Fund, he cleared the way for Alberta to become Canada's economic engine and the bright and the confident place that we call home today. Premier Klein saw our province through difficult times, and he made the tough calls that were right for very difficult, challenging times that put us on a foundation for success. He was a man who knew what needed to be done, and he always remembered that decisions that government made impacted people's lives on a daily basis. And just last week, I had the privilege of visiting with Premier Getty. And before I went to see him, we were having a caucus meeting. And so I asked everyone in caucus to write Premier Getty a note. And I took 61 notes to Premier Getty to thank him for his tremendous service to this province, again, in difficult times. And when we think back and we reflect on the people who have been leaders of our party, whether it's in more historic times or more recently, we really do owe them a debt of gratitude. In just a few days, I'll be seeing Premier Stelmach. Yeah. And I think Jean knows this. I'll be seeing Premier Stelmach in a couple of days. He's been very busy and very active and has become much more involved lately in public leadership on policy issues, and we welcome that, because he was also a man of wisdom and courage. And he showed us how saving in good times was important so that we could weather the tougher times. And these are the decisions that he made that allow us now to build on a foundation for tomorrow. We are truly incredibly fortunate, not only as Albertans, but as progressive conservatives, to have called these exceptional leaders our own. And we honor their legacy by continuing to make the tough but the smart decisions that are necessary to protect Alberta's gains and to build a modern Alberta that is truly open to the world. And it was against this backdrop that we offered Albertans a clear plan that we put forward in last year's election. And I'm proud to say that we're delivering on it. We're building Alberta by investing in families and communities, including the roads and the schools and the hospitals that we need. We're building savings by ensuring the government lives within its means. And we're building new markets around the world to ensure that Alberta gets the fairest price for our resources, the resources that we own. That's an obligation we have as a government. And we're not just doing that for the 3.8 million people that we serve today who are counting on us to run good government. But we're also doing it for the 1 million more Albertans that we expect to come over the next decade, and the generations after them. In Budget 2013, health comes first, and we'll ensure that resources are focused where they're needed most. Last December, my government opened the K Edmonton Clinic, which is one of the largest health infrastructure projects in provincial history. And we're providing Northern Alberta with seamless access to specialists and cutting-edge care and technology. This morning in Sherwood Park, along with Dave Quest and Kathy Olison, Minister Horn and I welcomed a $5 million private investment into Alberta that will provide innovative healthcare monitoring for seniors so that elderly patients can work with primary care networks to stay in their own homes longer. Following that announcement, I was thrilled to be joined by a number of my colleagues from the Capital Region to announce real progress on one of our signature commitments, a commitment to education. 8 new and modernized schools in the Capital Region, which will add 5,000 spaces in classrooms and will ensure that we keep class sizes small. In fact, this week, as I was saying, caucus was very busy traveling the province. This week, we announced a total of 30 new school projects across Alberta. The first part of our commitment for 50 new schools and 70 school modernizations province-wide. We promised to ensure that Alberta's education system kept up with population growth, and we're keeping that promise. That's what building Alberta looks like. And another commitment will keep Edmonton moving. 90% of the Anthony Henday Ring Road is open, with 71 kilometers of free-flow traffic. And we're investing $1.2 billion over the next 3 years so that the project will be completed by 2016. We're spending $200 million on the Highway 2 and 41st Avenue interchange over the next 3 years. And Edmonton has been approved for $497 million in Green Trip funding to support the extension of the LRT from Churchill Station to the NAIT campus. And we'll go on investing because this city will go on growing. And the longer that we wait to invest, the greater the cost of the quality of life for Edmontonians. And that's shortchanging you, and we won't do that. There are a number of good friends here tonight who are part of municipal leadership in large and small communities throughout Northern Alberta, in urban and rural communities. And I'm very proud of the fact that we have a strong working relationship with our municipal leaders. Municipal leaders who face on a more local level exactly the same challenges that we face at a provincial level. And we made a commitment that we would not balance the budget on the backs of municipalities, and we will keep that promise. We know that Edmonton's ties to the north run deep, and I'm proud to say that we're investing heavily in the vital infrastructure that's needed to ensure economic growth, not only in Edmonton, but all the way north, including $562 million in new funding to Twin Highway 63, which truly is one of the most important economic corridors in all of Canada. And I will tell you, and we're going to talk a little bit more about this from now on, that we're doing that because we made a commitment to Albertans and because Albertans made a choice a year ago. We're going to keep building long-term infrastructure. Unlike the opposition's build nothing approach, we know that we can't afford to stop building. And when the opposition talks about debt, they're talking about hospitals, and they're talking about schools, and they're talking about the roads that we clearly need. It's simple. Either we want world-class education with small class sizes, or we don't. Either we want state-of-the-art health facilities close to home, or we don't. Either we want new, safer roads for our families, or we don't. I will never apologize for investing now for a better and a stronger province today and a stronger province tomorrow. However, as progressive conservatives, there are two words in that name. We know that government must live within its means. Responsible fiscal management is a core value of our party, and it is a core value for Albertans. And in this year's budget, that's exactly what we're delivering. A long-term fiscal plan that puts our province on a strong footing despite the bitumen bubble, which in just 1 year has taken $6.2 billion off of our bottom line. And as a result, we had to make some tough decisions. And it wasn't easy to do it. Some of them weren't popular, but I promised Albertans that we would not raise taxes. And I'm proud to say that we delivered. And we accomplished this by doing something else that was difficult, and that was holding spending to zero. And I'll tell you, I don't know, a year ago, listening to the opposition party say that this party didn't know how to control spending, that this government didn't know how to control spending. So what was their advice? Keep spending to population plus inflation. Well, we did better than that, and we did it in a way that puts us on a long-term plan going forward that's going to ensure strong services, commitments to healthcare, commitments to education, and commitments to infrastructure that will allow us to continue to have the quality of life that we've come to expect and to continue to be the economic engine of this country. We know we're a fast-growing province, and we know that we have enormous growth pressures, and it wasn't an easy decision to make some of these choices, but they were the right decision to keep our finances on track. We're also working very hard to speed up the work we're doing on results-based budgeting, which allows us to bring together programming in a way that's more effective in terms of spending. It's producing results that we'll be able to see continue to improve the way that we have effective and efficient public services. And that's important for us because it's not about only fiscal motivation, it's about effective services for Albertans. Now, as MLAs, we also took an 8% cut in pay last year. We've frozen our salaries into the future. We've frozen government managers' salaries, and we'll reduce the number of civil servants by 10% over the next 3 years. And I'm incredibly proud of the leadership demonstrated in our partnerships with Alberta's doctors and Alberta's teachers. I was with Jeff Johnson in Calgary yesterday, and he was announcing some new schools, and he said, "I must tell you that this is a great week to be the education minister." And I thought to myself, well, that's pretty different from about a month ago when I'm not quite sure that he thought it was a great week to be the education minister. But Jeff Johnson and Fred Horn are men of incredible integrity. They are hardworking, they are fair, and they've done a wonderful job in coming to long-term deals that respect the work that our doctors and our teachers do while focusing with limited resources on delivering world-leading education and healthcare. And I thank them, and I thank our partners, doctors and teachers, for all of the work that they did to get to this deal. And you know, for the first time in 25 years, we have a plan to build our Heritage Fund, to actually build our savings account. It will grow to over $24 billion in the next 3 years, because Albertans told us to save in good times and in challenging times. And by building our savings, we'll help ensure that our children have the same opportunities that Premiers Lougheed, Getty, Klein, and Stelmach gave us. And that, my friends, is a progressive conservative legacy. Now, I've been clear that one of our priorities, one of our top 3 priorities, and it seems lately almost job 1, has been opening new markets for Alberta's resources, for oil, for gas, for forest products and agriculture, just to name a few. And only by throwing open our doors to the world can we get globally competitive prices, which in turn allows us to keep building Alberta. In April, I made my 4th trip to Washington since becoming Premier 18 months ago. I went there because Alberta does have a great story to tell. Our track record on developing our energy responsibly in a sustainable manner is something that we need to be proud of. We have to hold our heads high and make sure that our customers, the United States, know that their suppliers understand the importance of environmental sustainability. We have proudly served the U.S. market for decades. We want to continue to do that, and we're going to keep telling them why they should be getting their oil from us. And you know, we're taking the offensive on this. We're taking the offensive and we're fighting back against the misinformation that so many of the opponents of the oil sands rely on. They hold up Keystone as a proxy for every environmental ill, real or imagined. But we won't let their attempts to distort and to frame this debate negatively for Alberta succeed. We will use science and we will use facts. And I traveled to Washington to present policymakers with a clear choice, that they can build Alberta's oil, they can buy Alberta's oil, they can build our economy, and take into our account our status as global leaders in responsible development. Or they can continue to buy oil from the likes of Venezuela, Iraq, and Nigeria. And I'll tell you that when you have that conversation, they do understand the difference. And they do understand that the transparency and the commitment that we've made as citizens of Alberta, where we live, in the environment that we live in and raise our families every day, is what is important in terms of making decisions about who they want to trade with. We are at a pivotal point in Alberta's history. And what we do now to open markets will determine whether or not our province succeeds or stagnates. And this realization is what led to the work that we began to do on the Canadian energy strategy. A Canadian energy strategy that is now leading to progress in other ways that matter to Alberta. The work that we're doing is really gathering speed with the Premier of Quebec, Pauline Marois, and also with the Premier of New Brunswick, Premier Alward. The east-west pipeline shift will carry Alberta's bitumen to the Atlantic. It'll refine in Quebec, it can upgrade in New Brunswick, but it can also be exported to India for the same price as exporting it off the West Coast. And we've commissioned a study. I know it's surprising, isn't it? People don't think that. Some of you will know, as we talk about looking north, that we've also commissioned a study to examine the prospect of moving oil to Tuktoyaktuk through the Northwest Territories, which is now a feasible option. And we will maintain all of these efforts on all of these fronts, because progressive conservatives were elected to be Alberta's champions in Canada and around the world. And we have everything that we need to win. Well, we have almost everything that we need to win. On an issue as fundamental to our economy and our ability to deliver the services that Albertans expect, we see ideological opposition that is quite shocking. On one extreme, despite what they say, we still have an official opposition that believes that the science of climate change is not settled. They've called for the elimination of clean energy funding, ignoring entirely the conversation that's going on in the United States and around the world about Alberta's dedication to producing our resources responsibly. And I must tell you, if we had political parties that held that view in Washington today, Keystone would be dead on arrival. Alberta's economy would suffer, and we can't have that happen. Of course, the extreme right isn't alone in trying to sabotage Alberta's future. On the other extreme, we have the NDP. We have Thomas Mulcair, who's staying very busy, tremendously proud of himself for traveling to Washington and inflating Keystone's opponents with empty rhetoric. And he's done his best to undermine years of great work by premiers and prime ministers in this country to build that relationship between the federal government and trade unions and to ensure that we have strong trading relationships with the United States. And I have to say that I was very disappointed as well to see what I consider now to be the NDP echo chamber in Alberta quite happy to repeat his views. views that undermine the foundations of the strong economy that funds the very services that the NDP allegedly exists to defend. Remember that even as Alberta deals with the $6 billion shortfall in revenues from the bitumen bubble, Ottawa has taken a $4 billion hit. When Alberta doesn't do well, Canada doesn't do well. And Canada understands that. As Prime Minister Harper said last month, Alberta's energy industry does drive Canada's economy. I truly believe that the NDP's opposition is a betrayal of Canada's long-term economic interests. And Albertans are counting on progressive Conservatives to do better than that. They're depending on us to do what we've always done, to provide honest and accountable leadership. And leadership means doing the right thing, even when it's not popular. Premier Klein understood that. It means taking the long-term view and balancing today's needs with the foresight necessary to meet tomorrow's, just as Premiers Lougheed, Getty, and Stelmach did. Above all, leadership means staying true to our values. Progressive Conservatives have been resolute in our beliefs for the past 40 years. And we won't change or attempt to hide our fundamental beliefs at every policy conference like other parties. We will deliver on our commitments to build Alberta. We will build new markets around the world. We will be committed to public health care and to excellent education, and we will build our savings. And as we sit here at year one of a 4-year mandate, we should be proud of the responsible change that we've managed to deliver in an unexpected climate and in the face of new challenges. And we're not about to stop now. Thank you very much.